Greetings and salutations! Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times this Saturday, August 14, 2021. For today's editorial, Duque owes the country a clear explanation of damning CoA findings. No, Dr. Duque, we will not rest assured that the 67.3 billion pesos in anomalies flagged within your Department of Health or DOH by the Commission on Audit or CoA are being addressed, and that the enormous amount of public funds placed under your authority are being properly spent. Nothing less than a comprehensive public explanation is acceptable, and it must be provided immediately. The success or failure of the government's anti-pandemic effort may depend on it. The CoA's 2020 report on the DOH's management of its budget was alarming in every respect. Among the issues highlighted by state auditors were 42.41 billion pesos that was intended for the DOH's COVID-19 response, but was transferred to procurement or implementing partner agencies without proper memoranda of agreement and other supporting documents. 11.89 billion pesos in budget allotments to the DOH that had not been obligated as ordinarily required by law as of December 31 of last year. Procedural gaps in procurement processes, and missing required documentation for a number of contracts, totaling 5.04 billion pesos. Various donations in kind, totaling 1.41 billion pesos that were improperly accounted for. Other deficiencies totaling 1.04 billion pesos that were not included in the DOH's consolidated management letter. Other examples of inefficiency, unwise spending, or bad management, such as 69.942 million pesos in medical supplies and equipment that was not utilized in a timely manner or unutilized at all in some cases, 95.675 million pesos in medicines that were expired or nearly expired without being used, and 275.9 million pesos in cash allowances, gift certificates, and grocery items, for which there was no legal basis for the expenditure. Since the very beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, Health Secretary Francisco Duque III has been, to put it kindly, a polarizing figure. It began with his public statement in early 2020 that travelers from COVID-stricken China should not be barred from entering the Philippines to avoid offending the Chinese government. It continued with his uncomfortable proximity to, which is not to say responsibility for, as misfeasance or fault was never clearly established, the 14 billion peso Philippine Health Insurance Corporation claims disbursement scandal in September of last year. Duque's public credibility was further damaged by revelations at the beginning of this year that a deal that would have provided the Philippines with millions of vaccine doses from the US was scuttled due to apparent bureaucratic fumbling within the DOH. The latest public uproar directed at Duque and the DOH because of the CoA report may yet prove to be the fatal blow to the health chief's reputation. That is of grave concern because through all the various controversies that have swirled around the health chief, President Duterte has been steadfast in his support and loyalty to Duque, to a fault in the perception of many. The president did direct Duque to answer the CoA findings, but that is of no special import. It is, after all, precisely how we should respond to the news because the DOH is required by law to answer or risk facing consequences before the ombudsman. What Duque obviously and the president apparently fail to appreciate is that in the midst of a massive public health emergency, the official most responsible for public health is unavoidably the tip of the spear when it comes to the government's response. Public acceptance and cooperation with pandemic control measures is critical to its success. If the public does not have faith and confidence in that official, those measures will be less effective or fail altogether. Continual assurances of propriety or complicated explanations of why apparent grave mistakes are not actually mistakes do very little to rebuild that confidence. Even if the anticipated explanation of the CoA's damning findings is delivered as it should be, quickly, in terms that can be understood by the average person, and with whatever supporting documentation is available, it may not be enough to save Duque in the eyes of the public. Whether it is or not, it is what he owes the country. And that's the editorial for Saturday, August 14, 2021. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.